it's kind of even actually because Ezreal skills really well into the mid to late game. Meanwhile, LWX not so much. Depending on the build, if he goes for AP, he could, but they already have two sources of very strong AP on his team. That being said, not really a tank, more of a bruiser in the form of Tarzan in the jungle means that there is potential at least. Let's a quick wars go down in the early game. Let's see how the game unfolds. Last game, if memory serves, did end at about the 34-35 minute mark, as it looks like Ale and Tarzan just camping out that bush wanting to see if Nuguri would be greedy enough to step in and attempt a ward. A very nice skin coming out from Tian. Looking at the runes, nothing particularly surprising or impressive coming out from either team. Very defensive start, no attempts at a split map. Don't really know which side you'd split the map on in this situation, as Nuguri, Gwen does have that insanely strong level 1, of course, when she starts her E, gives her the mobility as well as the additional damage, while her passive just goes to work at you, as Tarzan is spotted out starting up his blue buff. On the other hand, LNG not very much of an idea which side Tian has started out on, and Tian's starting location kind of does betray the fact, as here we go again. Ale, so far his level 1s have not been very comfortable in this Nuguri lane, as Nuguri might be off of Lucian at this point, but he's definitely on to a heavier scaling, much more comfortable 1v1 champion in the form of this Gwen. So far, given Tian's starting location, it seems that he would be very comfortable indeed to end up bot side. However, being a Nocturne, it's not really that he's looking to gank. It's more that he just wants to be in the area to fight for Scuttle Crab. Priority in the bot lane, I suppose, will probably go in favor of FPX. The piercing arrow can hit more units, and although Rakan is semi-ranged and can in a way help with the push, it looks like not to be the situation, as LWX and Crisp just very easily secure their bot priority, wanting to, I think this crashing this wave would be a bit too early. There we go, they want to crash the next wave, but as it is, the Mystic Shots are trimming out the wave very effectively, putting out a ward in order to see if Tarzan is attempting maybe a quick 3 camp, 2-4 camp clear into a gank, but that is not to be the case right now. In the mid lane, Doing B is slightly behind in terms of CS, just getting pushed in, and for the early levels, Lulu is going to have an easy time pushing in, and then depending on what Doing B does choose to max, if he maxes his Q, he will be able to counter the push. If he maxes his W though, he may have to spend a little bit too much mana on the push. I suppose we will just see here as Icon just shoving wave after wave in, wanting to contest most likely bottom lane Scuttle, as Tarzan will be finishing off over there. Tarzan is definitely stronger than Tian at this point in time. Mid lane priority is heavily in favor Icon, while bot lane they might be struggling slightly as FPX just put on the pressure. The plant does spot him out, and Tarzan not interested at all in a fight apparently at this point in time. Given his lane states, is just going to surrender this to his ally. Question is now, will Tian try and cut through mid lane, apply some pressure, help Doing B push out the lane, and then go for the top Scuttle Crab? Looks like that will not be the case, as Nuguri did channel his recall, and now Ale is moving down to try and secure it for Tarzan. Nice little map play coming in here from LNG, playing as a team to support their jungler to ensure that they do not lose too much, that Tarzan starts the game out on even footing, because as we previously mentioned, LNG's win condition, at least for the early and mid game, is to have Tarzan become huge and make big plays. It's up to him to impact the map, as on the bot side, Eldaris is jumped on to by the Grand Entrance, is ignited up. Looks like he took a lot of damage, not quite sure if that's only from Iwandi. Arcane Shift is down, which indicates that Light may have jumped in as well, as Doing B's teleport is used to get himself back to lane, only 10 CS behind on the Lulu, as the Lulu continues her ever ongoing assault of his tower with the minions crashing. Tarzan is approaching the top side as we get to see what happened down there. Looks like the Arcane Shift forward did come first in order to proc the Essence Shift. As Doing B in the mid lane, I don't think he's particularly in a dangerous position given, the state of the waves. But in the top side, Nuguri needs to be a little bit careful. The waves are are in a pretty comfortable spot, but he does not have flash, and that's quite some distance to cover, especially when Tarzan is in the area. But Tarzan so far having a pretty chill lane. Dragon is spawning in 8 seconds time, and I don't really know if Dragon is the win condition for either of these teams. Both teams seem kind of more interested in scaling towards a very strong mid game and just having their team fights at that point in time. Does that indicate that Dragon's going to be a very important important part of the game? I guess we'll see based on what the movement of the junglers and of the teams. With all the recalls coming through now for FPX and LNG, it does indicate that they may be preparing to fight for Dragon, as items do come in tiers for either AD carries. Supports now are beginning their roam, but Chris, due to him backing first, will be able to impact the map first, as he's going to link up now with Tien to try and get some vision deep into the LNG jungle. Lots of wards towards the bottom side, very much heavily in favor of FPX, as a gank is available here. Flash is available for every champion on the screen right now, which means the Icon is probably in a safe location. Kingslayer Max coming in from Doingby means he will have some time, he will have some trouble matching the push of Icon, because he will need, of course, to get into melee range for his passive to begin proccing. It looks like Iwandi is in the area wanting to help Icon with the push, but Icon is just relentless in his assault. Glitter Lance after Glitter Lance right onto the wave itself. In the top side, Nuguri getting himself a pretty significant CS lead, but has yet to back and start shopping using his gold lead, which means that Ale, if he opts to pick a fight when he hits 6, will be in a very comfortable position. Nuguri fully aware of that, opts to back off because Ali could get ahead based on, not really matter, it doesn't really matter how much gold you have in your pocket. It's really what items you have that is a bigger determining factor. And right now, it looks like FPX seem comfortably set up to start up this dragon. Sinjao is in the air. Teleports are available for both Nuguri and Ale. At this point in time, looking at the items, I must say Nuguri doesn't seem as strong in terms of item as Ale. Ale does have a completed sock shoes. Looking at the items further down the list, I do believe that LNG item-wise are in a much more comfortable position, which means the FPX, I think it's good that they didn't start up the dragon. They look like they were threatening it, but they didn't opt for it, as Tarzan using his mid lane priority in order to just steal away the red buff from Tien. This is pretty damaging, I think, because Tien is about one camp away from getting to his level 6 point, one of his most important points. Not particularly phased, it seems, at the red buff being taken, as the Krugs will secure him his level 6. Let's see what he chooses to gank. Ganking mid lane might be a little bit dangerous now. This is perhaps their strongest point. Mid lane 2v2, not very many ultimates for Silas to steal, except for, I suppose, the wild growth. He could look to gank top lane, but Ale with his shroud is actually very, very safe. And then he could look to gank bot lane, but then Light is also pretty safe. Lots of CC available though, with Crisp in the area as well. So far, FPX, LNG, both been playing very standard. In fact, not really showing any signs of playing towards a particular side of the map, quote unquote strong or weak sides, as a bunch of pings are going down. Tien just in time, level 6 for his Rift Herald to spawn. As we predicted, looks like Dragon is not going to be of anybody's to-do list or interest, as Iwandi and Light now forsaking bot wave in order to roam up. Crisp is already in the area. A bunch of pings going down, but despite no vision on him. As Ale enters right now, Nugi jumping straight onto him as the perfect execution comes in, rowing for 10 yet again. The paranoia comes down as Doingby is jumped onto by, Light is jumped onto by two people. Doingby jumping onto Icon, as Icon enters now. Another wild growth comes down as Tarzan is brought down, traded now for Chris. It's a 2v4 situation as Rift Herald falls to Nuguri. Doingby in the backline is just having the time of his life, able to sustain the Kingslayer. Ali manages to get out Nuguri in a 1v2 situation, not being able to auto-attack anybody, keeping his distance perfectly. They actually spaced him out so perfectly in that fight. Okay, let me go back to that. Tien now just hitting level 6 as Rift Herald is started up by FPX, but it looks like the bottom lane of LNG are rotating up. This could be our first team fight of the game. LWX is incredibly far behind, does not have teleport. This is going to be a 4v5 situation. LNG, I jump in onto by Nuguri, as Tien is now the focus for Ali. Paranoia is popped. Doingby is jumping now onto Icon in the bot side, as Light is up there as well, flashing out of the fight as the Wild Grove coming on to Nuguri. Tarzan is being jumped on to manage to trade kills with Crisp as Nuguri finishes off the Rift Herald, while Doingby jumping onto Icon in a 2v4 situation, trying their best to get Icon. Icon gets taken down. Ali backflips away from danger as Nuguri is now in a 1v2 situation. Iwandi is able to keep the spacing so perfectly as Light guns him down with a true shot. Wait. With a arcane shot. Oh my god. Anyways, regardless of how that went. So overall, 3-2 in favor of LNG. Gold is completely tied up and even. Rift Herald did go over to Nuguri and FPX, and that was just a fighting at a man's advantage. Look how much time Ale got to buy in that backline, forcing Tien to flash and then just barely finishing him off despite missing the last part of his ultimate. And then Tarzan jumping in, just wanting to finish off Chris into the Sinja. Once you're in there, there's really nothing much you can do. And at this point, it's a 2v4 situation. Thankfully for FPX, they managed to secure themselves a Rift Herald. And then Doing B nearly getting out of this fight. Actually, he does get out of the fight. I guess Light did not have his essence, did not have his Arcane Shift. And Nuguri, look at that last bit of spacing that they did to him. That's kind of dirty. Ale now getting back to the top side and having a much better early game than he did in the last game, and as a result is able to pull off these kind of jumping into the pit and buy his team time situations a lot easier, which really is the appeal, I think, of the Akali. Akali is so strong in the right hands because she's just so strong. Once you get 2 items and once you're like a level 11, you can pretty much solo any squishy. In fact, even bruisers might have a hard time going at you depending on how fed you are, as Nuguri is being jumped onto. Net. Ale does have the backflip, goes over the wall, does have the perfect execution for the attempt to close the gap, but it looks like with Tarzan missing the W, no fight is not interested in looking for a fight are the members of LNG. Okay, need to slow it down. Think of my words. Whew. Looking at the vision right now, LNG have complete control of the top side, but a nice little bit of fight in the bot side. Elderwest is flashed on. Unfortunate turn of events here, as he is just taken out completely. Had no idea Iwandi was at the tri-bush, and just using his flash, Iwandi able to punish the Varus, who at this point in time is still behind on gold, despite the fact that he had the bot lane towers to himself. A little bit of wouldn't say a mess up, but rotation wise, it's definitely going in favor of LNG as they're playing this early game out very, very nicely. Nice rotation, helping out the team, not losing too much across the map. And Tarzan, even though him and Icon haven't really been linking up to do anything in this game, still a lot of work has been done, as Ale now is being pressured off of his tower. Nice little cross map play coming here from FPX as the Rift Tower charges into the top side tower. Iwandi's walking up, will not have the quickness, however, by the time he arrives. Tarzan is in the area as well, and it looks like mid lane priority is now going in favor of Doing B as predicted, now that he's gotten some points into his queue, and based off the fact that he can very easily get onto the Lulu and start beating her down with the Kingslayer as well as the Abscons and Abducts. Nuguri is continuing the pressure, but no vision on Iwandi means that he needs to back off. And LWX, although he is safer now than he was just now, does have his heal, does have his flash. But Iwandi is thankfully spotted out in the mid lane. Doing B, will he pick his ultimate out? Looks like he's not interested, does not have his ultimate available to steal Iwandi's ultimate, in fact. Looks like the game is just going to settle down for a bit. Rift Herald is off the map for at least another 2 to 3 minutes, while Dragon is off for another 3 minutes. Let's see what both teams do. Let's see how much contest there comes for the bot side Scuttle Crab, which is of course the next mini objective to spawn. Blue buff is going to be up soon for LNG, as red buff is up as well. Teleport is coming in. That is Icon in the mid lane, wanting to secure as much mid lane priority as possible. Lock Doing B into lane, not allow him to get any free recalls off. Doing B does have his teleport to match, as both Ale and Nuguri's teleports do have the same timing. Icon is just going to run as much interference as possible onto Doing B, who's backing on a ward. And it looks like the bot side Scuttle Crab is won by Tarzan. No attempted contest coming in here from FPX, who seem to be in a kind of an uncomfortable situation right now, because LNG definitely are ahead in terms of items, in terms of gold, and in terms of just champion power overall. Nuguri stealing away the top side of Tarzan's jungle, showing us that Gwen jungle, good potential maybe, question mark. Not great ganking, I'm not gonna lie, as he has finished his Riftmaker ahead of Ale. While in the bot side, looks like LNG are preparing for a dive as 4 members are coming here. Ale is not available because teleport is down still, as Nuguri is just continuing to duel him. Doing B's teleport is not available, as well as the True Shot Barrage tags both of the players. LNG 4-man pressure just zoning away the bot side as jumping in with the audacious charge. LWX did have to use his flash. Here comes the paranoia is in the backlines. It looks like Lulu is just left to dry. Icon flashing towards his team as Tarzan is just there to play bodyguard. 10 is in the area as well, but they're out of damage as LWX is taken down. Icon is eventually felled, but a double man knockup by the Grand Entrance. Doing B is trying his best to fight, but unfortunately it is not enough. Just too much CC and damage coming in from the side of LNG. Too much time is spent on Icon as the tower does fall in the top side. First tower goal goes over to FPX, but that will soon be equated in the bot side as LNG continue to beat down this tower. FPX taking too many split fights. Doing B not doing too much damage. Icon lasting too long. LWX being pounced on repeatedly by the Rakan pick. The immobility of the Varus is just completely being abused at this point in time. behind. Dragon is spawning in 55 seconds. Rift Herald in under a minute as well. And right now, FPX only have one little bit of one lighthouse off in the distance, one indicator, one beacon of hope, and that is Nuguri in this top side. As we see here, a nice little dive, audacious charge into LWX, not expecting that to be such short range, and then basically just getting soloed out there by Iwandi. Meanwhile, in the background, look how much time Icon bought just chasing away both Crisp and Doingby. Tien was in there, but unfortunately he doesn't do too much damage. He is kind of tanky, as Light with the heals coming in from Iwandi as well as the Arcane Shift, able to just keep himself alive while Tarzan was just wailing away at anything that stood before him. Beautiful, beautiful rotations coming out there from LNG, just preparing to dive that bot side and doing so 4-man, playing together as a team. And that's basically LNG's composition right now, is that now that this is like the strongest point of the game. Once Icon finishes his hero's item, as Gwen is being jumped on, getting so much damage down, but Nuguri is so much sustained from his ultimate, actually taking out all of them as he tries to dodge it away with the W. No flash, no ignite, unfortunately, as Ale actually had ignite in that fight, and somehow the fight is still so close. Which shows you that if Nuguri had ignite, Ale would be 100% dead. So I guess there's only one more thing that's more broken than a Kali at this point in time, and that is a beautiful steal coming in from Tien. Paranoia in, smite out, fear coming out, but in comes the quickness, chanting up 3 people as Varus is yet again obliterated for the 5 stars. Ale is coming in right now as Chris is solo, taking out of the fight. Ale trying his best to finish him up at the backline as Tien is just cut down the front line. Nuguri and Doingby yet again in a 2v4 situation, not enough mobility or damage all sustained in this fight, and Doingby is the only survivor. Unfortunately, LWX is just a non-factor in this game. Iwandi is single-handedly causing him so much pain. As look at him, he doesn't have a full item. He's got half an item, some might argue. Not even completed boots. And on the other hand, Light is nearly completed on his Manamune. Nice little smite still coming in here from Tien. Initial teleport is coming in from the Gwen, but this is where LNG are strong. Tarzan is in the front line tanking it up, and then Iwandi just getting 3 people charmed up. Tarzan just jumping as well onto LWX. He's obliterated, he's incinerated, and then over there it's basically a 2v4 situation. Eventually Tarzan does fall, but in comes Ale just running through the entire team with the Shroud, with the passive movement speed, and just having the time of his life with whoever is low. He didn't even have his ultimate at this point in time. Now, what do FPX need to do in order to win this game? That's the real question. So, they need to survive this part of the game without losing too much. They are 7 kills down, but only about 3,000 gold down, which is pretty massive. They need to stop hemorrhaging gold. They need to get gold onto LWX. They need to get this deep vision that's really good. And they need to start one-shotting this Rakan, I think. Rakan is a huge issue. Ale is going to have too much time, going to be able to buy too much time. Icon so far is really a huge nuisance because his wild growth just kind of omega disrupts. FPX have a lot of initial bursts with Doingby and Tien, but the shields, polymorphs, as well as the wild growths are omega disruptive. Nice little win here coming in from FPX, but they are going to trade Rift Herald for it, which is pretty much also in itself a tower. Depending on how it's used, it could be more. FPX, they need to look for picks when they need to force man disadvantages as LNG tie up the towers again. They need to force man disadvantages and need to pick fights with those. Unfortunately, Icon and LNG are just so grouped up, so nicely grouped up in all these situations. We'll see what happens in the next 2 minutes as Baron is spawning then, and then 40 seconds later we will have the 3rd dragon of the game. FPX are, at least one bit of consolation is FPX are comfortably stacking dragons right now. Whew! Alright, let's see how this goes. Ale is just having time of his life on this Akali pick. I mean, it's no surprise at all for anyone watching that Akali was the go-to. Looking at the items, look at the LWX, an entire item behind, and lethality items are cheaper as well, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunate, perilous situation as Icon is moving up now with, I don't know, I think it's Tarzan. Moving up now with Tarzan in order to secure the last outer tower. Rift Herald will be dropped, and this will be a 2-charge Rift Herald for sure, as FPX are very much out of position. Tien now only channeling his recall. Nuguri has Crisp on his back to defend here, but in the bot side, Doingby does have teleport, so if a team fight does break out, they could start. This could potentially be a 5v5 as FPX moving 4 members up In comes Light as well as Iwandi as well. That's 2 charges down. In fact, this could be a 3 charge Rift Herald. This is catastrophic for FPX, who are trying to slow down this game, but LNG are just putting Nitro into the tag. A little bit of a teleport coming in from Rift Herald as jumping in Nuguri, going in to try and disrupt as much as possible. Doinb still not channeling his teleport, however. Looks like they're just trying to start a fight in order to chase away the members of LNG. So far, a good bit of damage coming in there. No one expected Nuguri to jump in as well, I suppose, as towers are yet again equalized across the map by Doinb. Unfortunately, he does not have the Rift Herald to chunk out the tier 3, the inner no, the inhibitor towers of LNG's base, and Light meanwhile in the mid lane got himself a nice bit of farm. LWX, I expect at this point, does have his Dust Bay completed. I really do hope so, because if he doesn't, FPX are that just shows you what kind of a hole FPX are in at this point in time. Baron is now spawning in 8 seconds time. Icon does have teleport, will be able to roam up and be there for that fight. Still has, oh, he has completed. Okay, wait, no, has he? No, he hasn't. I can't tell actually based on I can't tell based on how the item looks. As it looks like LNG more interested in starting up the Baron. They don't really have a lot of, more interested in starting up the Dragon. Don't have very much objective damage on either team. FPX, I think, will have a bit more objective damage if Nuguri is present, as well as if Doinb is there. So FPX are interested in taking this fight, as Prowler's Claw is now completed by LWX. Not quite sure how that's going to save him in this situation, as he's just going to be pounced on. Iwandi has Flash, as does Tarzan. LWX, in fact, all summoner spells are available with the exception of Nuguri's summoner spells. So basically, they only short 1 ignite. Waves are in favor of FPX, as they are now pushing in the bot and top side. Dragon is started up, is being leashed towards the left, towards LNG. Nice little concave coming in from either side. Even surface area for both teams. FPX, I'm not quite sure how you win these fights though, with them so grouped up. LNG are at a clear advantage. Iwandi's got a beautiful flank coming out as well. It is warded out. Crisp is in the flanks trying to keep him off as Doinb jumps in. In comes Tien. Does not manage to succeed in this fight. Tarzan has Zhonya's up. Tien is being taken so incredibly low. Fear comes out. Ali is not able to catch up as the Chains of Corruption continue to chase him backwards. Iwandi jump in. 4-man. Beautiful knockup hit coming in. But in comes Tarzan from the flanks. Nuguri is taken so incredibly low. Light is in the middle of the entire fight. FPX is routed, split up, and being torn asunder as the only members alive are Crisp and Doinb. But just as quickly as I say their names, they will fall, and an absolute ace clean sweep. Dragon going over to LNG as well. There is no hope in this game, unfortunately, for FPX, and the rest will sadly just be clockwork, I suppose. Elementary, my dear Watson, as LNG now making their way across the map onto the Baron. And there's really nothing much the FPX can do. In this situation, I think they just kind of got outdrafted. LNG are just playing to their strength. 10 opting to ult in onto Ale, onto the Kali, who can buy so much time with the Shroud. And then look at this. This is catastrophic. Look at this huge, oh my goodness, Wild Growth. Look at that quickness into the Wild Growth combination. Light just chases LWX down. LWX can do nothing. And then LNG, literally, it goes from a fight. Okay, never mind. As Ken jumps into the pit, trying his best to get a steal. And as good as the attempt was, it really did not do too much. Doinb just getting jumped onto there by Light. You know you're in trouble when the AD carry can jump in and try and assassinate the assassin. Anyways, FPX looks like they're still trying to get something back here. Solar Flare is available. Was not used in the last fight. But the last fight pretty much went from a front to back 5-man running at each other into LNG parting the Red Sea, somehow finding themselves in between FPX, splitting them up. And when a team is strong enough that they can split your entire team up, they can literally force you aside, you're in trouble. You're in huge trouble, as it looks like the mid lane tower is not even going to fall. This, of course, LNG vested interest in keeping this tower up, as because of the tier 3 outer mid lane tower, LNG were not able to enjoy a victory in game 1, forcing them into a game 3 situation, as Nuguri is jumped onto now by Ayla, but at 10 is jumping onto him as well with the Paranoia. Ale in a 1v4 situation jumps in with his Shuriken Toss, and he uses his perfect execution to get out, just trying to chunk out the members of FPX as much as they can. Looks like Doinb has resorted to being a permanent split pusher, but LNG are not falling for that. They know the apes together strong. They're going to run it down with the Lulu absolutely protecting their front line and back line with Iwandi just providing so much engage. Nuguri is now splitting off towards the bot side, but no member of FPX is here to defend their mid lane, as LNG just go knocking down the front door. And Chris taking so much damage from the Arcane Shift as well. It looks like Doinby has backed off, realizing that Nuguri is not really the strongest member of the team in a team fight, as the Wild Growth is forced out already because it was timing out. Doinby just waiting for his ultimate to come back off cooldown. Ale is teleporting in a 3-man Everfrost into a 2-man Solar Flare, but Light does have Cleanse. Doinby is being chunked out by all the damage. Iwandi still has the quickness, can pull the trigger whenever. Look at that, the team fight is completely in favor of LNG as the teleport in leads to them just now finishing up on the Nexus Tower. The piercing arrows are not enough to even chunk out the Baron Dub Cannon minion, who has actually gone off on a tangent and is now looking to kill something else by the looks of it. It seems a little bit not lost, shooting Nuguri instead. In the front side, Light is tagged out, but the quickness comes in to try and help him peel. Ali jumping into the backline as well. It looks like LNG are losing out this fight as Tarzan's G is popped. Ken falls in the backline, however, as Chris is nearly taken out. Ale just buying time with his Zhonya's, is still alive, somehow manages to survive, so Doinby jumps and tries to finish him off, but is killed off in the end by Icon. And just like that, 4 members down. Chris, the only member alive. Tarzan jumping forth with impunity. Light tanking up the Nexus Tower because he can, because he's got the Lulu shields on him. And LNG finish off Game 3 in 24 minutes. Record-breaking time as a fist bump goes into a high five. Unfortunately, a little bit of lack of synergy in real life. But what does that matter when in the game you have just so much synergy? Play perfectly to your team composition and your win condition. As the fist bumps go forward, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys next time.